Welcome back to Story Time with David Booker. Today we're going to be reading from A Lady Came Knocking by Brian D. Bond. We're going to read chapter 4. That's the last chapter that I'm going to be reading from this particular book. Brian kind of wants me to stop there, which I can understand. I mean, if you've listened so far, you know this is a very good book. It's on Amazon, very inexpensive, and you're definitely going to, if you've been listening, and you're definitely going to want to get the rest of it. So I have no problem stopping there because you I'm sure will go on and get the book. Just kind of like the other ones, Legend of Creation and Joe's Journey. So they're all, I love reading these things. They're so much fun to read and to have. So we're going to do chapter 4. It's only a few pages. I do apologize. They're short chapters, but there's plenty in this. There's plenty in the book as well as his sequel. So let's start now. A black Mirai drew up outside the Yeovil police station, and a couple of early officers got out. They entered the building, and several minutes later reappeared, escorting Miss Langham to the van. Her hands were cuffed, one to each officer. When they were safely locked into the rear of the vehicle, it drove off. Andrea sat motionless with fear and stared into space. Is this really happening? She asked herself as a tear rolled down her cheek. WTC White was waiting for Flats as he left the chief inspector's office. Dear Luck, a friend of mine, of my mom's, runs a guest house and is happy to take you and your dog. Here's the address. After listening to the directions, Flats thanked WTC and walked to his car. She called out to him, I nearly forgot. Miss Langham is being brought to the station later today. See you in the morning. Why the sudden hurry, he considered regarding Andrea as he drove away. The guest house was only a short drive, and the directions were exemplary. It was a charming-looking building that even had its own parking. When he entered it, he was met by a pleasant-looking woman who he guessed was close to his own age. Welcome. I've been expecting you, she greeted. And who is this handsome little fellow? This, madam, is Jeeves, who gave his customary greeting back. Isla told me that your dog was very charming. I'm Nancy, and if you would sign in, I'll give you your key. Flats held out his hand. I'm Steve, but most people call me Flats. As he signed the guest's book, Nancy handed him a key. You're in room 2, which is at the top of the stairs and to the right. He thanked his host, took the key, and with Jeeves following closely, they climbed the stairs. The room was very cozy and clean. Oh, this will do nicely. His thoughts were interrupted by a knock on the door, and it was Nancy. Sorry to disturb you, but I wanted to know if you would like an evening meal. I'm cooking sausage and mash. Oh, that'd be wonderful. Is there a shop nearby where I can get something for Jeeves to eat? Yes, of course. Ranji's, which is just up the road. Tell him Nancy sent you, and he'll take good care of you. I have some dishes you can use, if you wish. Thank you, that's much appreciated. Flats found the shop and enjoyed a conversation with Ranji, who was more interested in making a fuss of Jeeves. He hasn't had so much attention for ages. Flats bid him good evening and returned to the guest house where he attended to feeding Jeeves. Nancy informed him that she would be serving the evening meal shortly. I'll go to my room and freshen up, said Flats. When he came back downstairs, there was another couple of guests in the dining room. One was a gentleman around 30 years of age, and the other an elderly woman who was very well attired. Flats deduced that the man must be an office worker, probably a secondman. And striking up a conversation, he found his assessment to be accurate. The lady was a widow with much wealth. Jeeves had proven once again to be the icebreaker, and it wasn't long before the three guests were chatting like old friends. They enjoyed a hearty meal, and Flats managed to sidestep questions about his purpose for visiting the city. He found that most people seemed to be closet investigators, and he liked to keep his business private. After the meal, Flats took Jeeves for an evening walk. The street lights were on, which was a luxury compared to the country lane where he lived. There were still hordes of people bustling through the city, many just returning home from work. He happened upon a small park and thought it would be a chance for Jeeves to let off some energy. Picking up a small stick, he hurled it as far as he could, and his dog raced away to recover it. They enjoyed a happy half hour until Flats tired of the game. Jeeves reluctantly released the stick and dutifully followed his master back to the guest house. When he walked into the building, Nancy offered him the nightcap, which he politely accepted. He noticed that she had changed her clothes and applied a little makeup. At first, Flats wondered if she was expecting more guests, but it soon became obvious that the effort that she made was for his benefit. He hurriedly finished his nightcap and, making excuses, retired for the night. The following morning, when Flats came down to breakfast, he noticed that Nancy had again made an effort with her appearance. She told him to sit, and she would bring him some tea and his breakfast. "What are your plans for today?" she asked as she set a plate down in front of him. "I'm meeting WPC White this morning, and after that, I'm not sure." "Oh, will you require an evening meal?" asked Nancy. "And have you any idea how long you will be staying?" Flats paused for a moment. "Till Thursday, for certain, and maybe Friday. As for a meal, yes, that would be welcome." The elderly lady entered the room and asked if she could sit with him. Flats, being the true gentleman, stood up and pulled out a chair for her. "Why, thank you, young man." Her comment drew a wry smile. It had been a long while since he had been referred to as young. "I should have told you last night that my name is Patricia, but I should inform you that I am not too fond of the abbreviated version." "I will remember that. Please call me Flats. Real name Steve, but very few people use that." For a brief moment, Patricia considered acquiring his unusual name, but decided discretion was the better part of valor. They enjoyed a general chat over breakfast with several timely interruptions from Nancy. The last of the guests, the young man, came in clutching a newspaper. He politely wished them good morning and sat at another table. Wes was glad that Nancy had something else to occupy her for a while. After finishing his breakfast, he wished Patricia a good day and returned to his room. "What a charming young man, good manners and great company," she remarked to Nancy, who nodded in agreement. "Very charming indeed." Les took his old police bag and looked inside. His eyes flicked through the interior, checking the contents. He looked at his watch. "I think it's time we left, old boy." Jeeves darted to the door. As soon as Flats opened it, the dog led his way downstairs. They walked to the park, and Jeeves was full of energy as always. After fetching his stick numerous times, it was time to get in the car and meet up with WPC White. With just one wrong turn to contend with and stopping to ask the way twice, it took almost half an hour to find Walker's Drive. So that is chapters 1 through 4 of Lady King Knocking by Brian D. Bond. As I said, it's available on Amazon. If you like what you've heard so far, please check it out. Get it for yourself. You're really going to enjoy it. And if you have any questions or comments or have books that you'd like to hear read, your own included, please let me know. Later today, I'll be doing another reading from one of my books, Time is Lost. So we'll be going to the first Olympics in this one, I believe. So we'll do that a little bit later. Thank you for visiting, and I look forward to seeing you again next time on Storytime with Dave. Bye.